Welcome to the GTN Show. On this week's show, we're discussing the Ironman World Champs not happening in Kona for the first time.
Also, we discussed the new PTO World Rankings with some new world number ones, plus the race news and some fancy new tech. Right then, let's start by taking a look at some of the things we've spotted on social media this past week. And obviously we had the Super League Triathlon in Malibu this weekend, some exciting racing which we'll get onto very soon, but also some very funny and cool clips. So first of all, not so funny, I guess more worrying, is this clip of the athlete swimming past what looks like a shark or a silhouette of a shark in the water. I mean, it might not be a shark.
It might not be a shark. It might just be a piece of seaweed.
Probably is just a piece of seaweed.
But it might be a shark. They do have sharks in those waters.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. Anyway.
Or bad.
Next one, some big waves.
Yeah, that wasn't the only thing that the seas threw at them in Malibu. It also threw some big waves at them. If you watch the woman running into the water, some of them didn't tackle those waves too well, or were tackled by the waves. Someone did pretty much a full-on scorpion there, jumping into the water, feet over head. I think they got swimming again because no one was pulled out of the water, so just a little bit of a bad start for them.
Nice. I also spotted this rather impressive feat. Oliver Salmon set a new world record for running 100 meters while solving a Rubik's Cube in a time of 17 seconds, 0.63.
This is very impressive.
It's really impressive.
I mean, I reckon I could probably run a 17-second 100 meters.
Yeah.
But it would take me about 17 hours to solve a Rubik's Cube.
So impressive. So impressive.
And finally, we have this from the GOAT, Jan Frodeno. He's put out on social media, anyone interested in doing an adventure race with him? So, no details yet, but apparently he's going to organize an adventure race in the Mediterranean and on his favorite trails on the 31st of October, and he says, all welcome. So put that in your diary if you're anywhere around his neck of the woods. Maybe we'll head out there.
Oh, it would be awesome, wouldn't it? I mean, he's sort of saying, you know, in a celebration of what should have been Kona and trying to get the athletes together because he just loves that whole community feel around Kona time. So yeah, he's bringing it to his own doorstep. And it sounds like less of a race, more of a adventure with friends, right?
Yeah, I think that's going to be more like, he's called an adventure race, but I think it's more like an adventure. Yeah. You know? The big news from last week, Ironman World Champs will not be in Hawaii for the first time in its history. And then in October, it'll come back with a new format over 2 days. Yeah,
well, the Ironman World Championships had obviously already been postponed from its traditional October date to February, but it seems that with the athletes' sort of complication of trying to get to the Hawaiian Islands, Ironman have finally decided that they're going to move it all together. So for the first time in its 44-year history, the Ironman World Championships will be leaving Hawaii and heading over to St. George, Utah. And rather than it being in February, it's now going to be on May the 7th.
That's right. And why St. George, you may ask? Well, St. George is a pretty cool course. We've just seen it at the 70.3 World Champs. The community in St. George is also really into hosting Ironman events. So there's a lot of community support. But it's just not Kona, is it?
Yeah, and that's the big question, isn't it? So many people try to qualify for the Ironman World Championships with Kona in mind. It's almost synonymous with the Ironman World Championships. They qualify and dream of racing in Kona. And sadly for many people, doing the Ironman World Championships not in Kona is just not the same.
Yeah, of course, all the age groupers actually have the opportunity to defer their entry. So if you qualified for the 2021 Ironman World Champs in October, and then we're going to race in February in Kona, now we're going to race in May in St. George, you can actually choose not to race that race and defer your entry to October 2022 race. Similarly, anyone who qualifies between now and then will also have the opportunity to either race St. George or Kona in October. So a lot of them might still choose to do that race in Kona in October. But St. George is still in the US, which begs the question, will people still be able to travel there? It's only very recently that they've opened up travel for the UK to the US, and many other countries are still on their red list, I guess they call it, and can't travel there. Hopefully, everyone will be able to travel there by May though.
Yeah, and now back to that deferral topic, because this is quite big because of the fact that I guess Ironman are anticipating that so many people are going to go, well, I do want to race in Kona, so I'm going to defer my spot. They have proposed a 2-day format for the 2022 October Ironman World Championships in Kona. Now, they are speculating that the women will be on the Thursday and that the men's race will be on the Saturday. And we're assuming, obviously, the pros would be the same, women's on Thursday, men's on the Saturday, simply to accommodate the almost twice the size sort of field that will be arriving in Kona.
Yeah, they're expecting as many as 2,500 to 3,000 athletes on both the Thursday and on the Saturday, which is more than double what they normally have in Kona. And if you've been to Kona, it gets pretty jam-packed. So some people are going to be staying a long way out from the race, like Waikoloa and way beyond even, trying to find accommodation. Are there enough restaurants? Are there enough rental cars? Is there enough capacity to host that many people? I guess we're going to find out in October.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, the island as a whole probably has capacity, but it's those other things you talk about. Flights coming in, yeah. Are there enough seats? Oh, it is, yeah. Also, on top of that, I mean, the fact that it's across these different days, it almost feels like that first race, the Thursday race, is almost a sideline warm-up event.
It could be, yeah. I mean, we hope that if the women pros are racing on Thursday and the men on Saturday, both of those races are going to be really, really interesting and really interesting to watch. And obviously, the women having their own pro race is pretty exciting. Cool. The cameras are only going to be on them, no getting lost in the back of the pro men field or anything like that. So that is pretty exciting to have their own event. Long before we get to that, though, we have the race in St. George in May. Age groupers who have qualified for that can go to that one, like we said. Anyone who's already entered it, though, the St. George Ironman, which was supposed to happen anyway, has just discovered that they were entered into an Ironman World Championships and they weren't intending to. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting that some people just booked their slot for a World Championships without knowing it was going to be there.
Yeah, now I obviously understand there's going to be a lot of frustrated people out there, but also I guess some people out there supporting it, because at the end of the day, Ironman have purely tried to find a solution and they are still able to host the 2021 Ironman World Championships should you want to go to it. So be really interested to hear your thoughts, so do get involved in the comment section down below. We're now moving on, and the PTO have just announced and released their new world rankings, which sees Gustav Iden, the now two-time Ironman 70.3 world champion, top the standings thanks to his 3 ranking results. The win at Challenge Daytona, Collins Cup, and obviously his win in St. George at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships.
What that means is that Jan Frodeno is no longer number 1. He slips to number 2, which is a little bit, He has pretty much been unbeaten since 2017, and I think 23 of his last 26 professional race starts he has won. So him not to be a number 1 is maybe
controversial, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, well, Gustav Iden leads, Jan Frodeno second, Sam Long jumps up to 3rd, which is not really a surprise given his recent run of form. Patrick Lange is up to 4th, and Daniel Bakkegaard is in 5th on those world rankings.
Yeah, I guess it shows that kind of the algorithm they use is very complex, takes no prisoners. It literally takes their 3 top results, and the fact of the matter is Gustav Iden has better results for those 3.
Yeah, in the last 13 months, Gustav Iden's top 3 results are better than Jan's. I mean, one of Jan's races was his own race, the tri-battle, which didn't count for any points, so maybe that was a missed trick there. The points are obviously pretty important to professional athletes, because on the December 31st, whatever your ranking point is, you get paid out quite a lot of money, starting at $100,000 for the top ranked athlete, down to $20,000 for 20th place, and then everyone until 50th place gets $5,000, and everyone up to 100th place gets $2,000. So plenty of money on the line, and those points are definitely worth fighting for.
Yeah, it's a massive thing for the pro athletes in triathlon. Also exciting stuff happening on the women's side. Lucy Charles-Barclay topping Daniela Reef with obviously her impressive win at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships, but also seeing Laura Philipp lately just jump up the rankings. I mean, she's up into 3rd place now, so it's Lucy, Daniela, and then Laura Philipp after some phenomenal races of late.
She has been putting in the work and getting those big results, so no surprise to see Laura Philipp going up there, and also not really a surprise to see Lucy Charles Barclay toppling Daniela for that top spot. I think Daniela might have something to say about that and come back stronger.
We also have a cycling duo that have spelled out refugees welcome across the southwest of England on Strava. David Charles and Georgie Cottle from Glasgow raised more than £55,000 for charity Choose Love by cycling 1,491 miles. They began their ride on the 17th of August in St Austell, Cornwall, and ended on the 18th of September at Dover Beach in Kent. Well, they were attempting a Guinness World Record for the largest GPS drawing by a bicycle team, and if verified, they have more than tripled that previous record. And they say they undertook the challenge to raise awareness and, I guess, take down the artificial barriers that are thrown up to prevent refugees from getting on with their lives.
That's some pretty impressive Strava art. Although they should probably work on the handwriting. My 3-year-old's handwriting looks like a bit like that. Over to the elite marathon world, and Shalane Flanagan, who 2017 New York City Marathon champion and Olympic silver medalist, has set herself a new challenge. So normally the 6 marathon majors happen mostly in the autumn and some in the spring, and this time they're all happening in a very rapid 7-week period, starting from last weekend. And Shalane Flanagan has decided to do all 6 of them in 7 weeks. The marathon majors make up what they call a majors championship, and people get a special 6-sided star for doing all 6 of them over their entire career at any point, ticking them off. She's decided to do all of them in 7 weeks, which is quite a feat, especially seen as Boston and Chicago are a day apart. So those majors are Berlin on September 26th, London on October 3rd, Chicago on October 10th, Boston on October 11th, Tokyo on October 17th, which has just been cancelled, so she's going to run that one virtually, and New York Marathon on November 7th. And she's well on her way, because last weekend she ran the Berlin Marathon. She came 17th in a time of 2 hours and 38 minutes. So we wish her well for the rest of those marathons.
So impressive. Quicker than my PB, that's for sure. Also following on with Shalane Flanagan's incredible attempt here, we've got Jordan Tropf, who is attempting to do 3 marathons over 3 days, all sub 2 hours 30. So he is planning to do October the 9th, Baltimore Marathon, October the 10th, Chicago Marathon, and then October the 11th, Boston Marathon. His personal best is 2 hours 26. So he's borderline doing his PB in each of those marathons.
3 days in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, our attempt at sub 2:30 was pretty optimistic, but that's taking it to the next level. I mean, we wish him really well and good luck, but 3 marathons in sub 2:30 in 3 days is, well...
It's a big ass.
Yeah, it's a big ass.
Best of luck. Now for What the Tech, and we have a lot of tech for you this week. So in case you've missed it, Wahoo have just released their Wahoo System. It's a subscription service that almost completes the Wahoo ecosystem. It's a training platform for planning your training, logging your training, analyzing your training, as well as building and syncing workouts to your devices.
Yep, but then it has a really cool feature because it also integrates podcasts, videos, ride-alongs, POVs, like you're in the actual peloton. It's a pretty cool ecosystem. We haven't tried it yet because it only came out yesterday, but we are planning to get stuck in and we'll definitely give you some more feedback in the future.
Yeah, really excited for that one. Also, the Zwift Triathlon Academy is launching very soon, which you can register to and really should do whether you have an interest in trying to qualify for the Academy team or not. It's got loads of workouts that you can get stuck into. But they've also just teased the release of their new Zwift Academy tri-bike that the team members will be getting with a pretty wild paintwork.
Earlier this month, Duraro Harisa won the Vienna Marathon in 2 hours, 9 minutes and 22 seconds. But he was later disqualified. He was disqualified because he raced in the Adidas Adizero Prime X running shoe, which is illegal. It has 50mm stack height, and World Athletics has deemed that any shoes above 40mm stack height are illegal.
So what was he thinking, and why, I guess is the big question, why do Adidas even make an illegal shoe in the first place? Well, it seems that Harisa simply made a mistake, or at least that's his story. You have got to wonder whether this was a bit of a publicity stunt to draw some attraction to Adidas, their super shoes. I mean, in the day, it's got us talking about them. I've been Googling them, I'm now telling you folk. So I guess it has stolen the limelight away from some of those big brands. Apparently, and this is Adidas's words, that they consciously created the Prime X outside of the World Athletics guidelines and wanted runners to discover what sort of times would become possible when you throw the rulebook away.
World Athletics weren't playing and they threw the rule book at him and he was disqualified. I don't think we're going to see too many elites running in illegal shoes, especially because apparently they're checking. Now on to your race news, and we had Ironman Chattanooga this weekend, which was quite a battle for second place because no one was racing Joe Skipper. He was off the front and won by a solid 8 minutes. Behind him, it was a pretty tight race between Ben Hoffman, Lionel Sanders, Sam Long and Cody Beals. Sam Long, however, faltered halfway through the run and DNF'd after his efforts last week in the 70.3 World Champs. So it was Lionel Sanders who took second place behind Joe Skipper and Ben Hoffman in third. On the women's side, Ska Munch was in a class of her own. She won by 26 minutes over second place Gurutze Laralde of Spain and Melanie McQuaid in third place.
Yeah, we had a lot of racing this weekend. Another fantastic race at the Super League Triathlon. This was the final race of their month-long of back-to-back racing of weekends. So Malibu being the last one with the eliminator format, where they essentially do 3 mini triathlons back-to-back with just a short gap between each. As soon as the first person crosses the line, the clock starts and they have a 4-minute timer. So those coming in later in the race will have a short rest before starting the next. And we had a lot of excitement because both the men's and the women's series leaders lost their titles in this final race in Malibu. So Johnny Brownlee dropped down from being the series leader to third, and Jess Learmonth lost her title to Georgia Taylor Brown. Yeah, the racing was fierce. Flora Duffy was a wild card entry for this. She was swapped in to one of the teams, I think the Cheetahs, I'm not sure. She absolutely handed it to the rest of the girls. She was so strong and so skilled on that really tricky bike leg that really put it to the other girls. She won all 3 events and she won the overall, just ahead of Georgia Taylor Brown in second with Katie Zafiris in third. Jess Learmonth finishing in fourth, and as Mark says, it was not enough for her to hang on to that crown. So Georgia Taylor Brown took it at the last after getting second in the first 3 of the series. She won the last one and won the series, whereas Jess Learmonth got first, and then fourth and lost the series, came second in the series. She didn't lose the series, she came second in the series. So Georgia Taylor Brown taking home that impressive $50,000 series prize check. On the men's side, Alex Yee had a sprint finish with Martin Van Riel winning by just 0.2 seconds to win that race and win the series. So he took the series prize check for the men's. Second behind him, like I said, Martin Van Riel at this race. Johnny Brownlee losing that series right at the last. He only came 7th in this last race in Malibu. So the final series standings on the men's were Alex Yee first, Hayden Wild in second, and Johnny Brownlee slipping down to third in the series right at the last. They did also have a team ranking points if anyone's interested. There was quite a lot of money. The top team, each team member got $15,000 just for being in the team, and the Eagles took that, who was led by Tim Don, so they took the win there. The Scorpions were second and the Sharks were third in the team category. Well, understandably, with those bonuses and prize pools that are going on in that race, it attracted a lot of the best athletes and left the doors a little bit open for the European Triathlon Championships taking place in Valencia this past weekend. Still, obviously, some phenomenal athletes turning up to that, and on the men's race, it was Dorian Connings that took the win there. Second went to Roberto Sanchez Manchon. Third, Antonio Serrat-Seon. And then on the women's side, we had Julie Deron taking the win there, ahead of Anika Koch, and third, Sean Raisley. And there was another European Championships happening on the same day, and that's the Xterra European Championships, which happened in Dolomiti Paganella in Italy, with Arthur Series taking the win there ahead of Felix Faricia and Pagniotos Bitardos on the men's side. On the women's side, Sandra Mehrhofer took the win,
and the title of European champion, with Michelle Filippo and Deirdre Diedrichs coming in third.
Yeah, and we also have one more race, another off-road Xterra race, this time over in the US with the USA Championships. Unfortunately, they had to cancel the swim due to water quality, so it became a run-by-run duathlon format. That was won by Sam Osborne ahead of Isaiah Middle, and we had Eric Lagerstrom actually getting on the podium in Xterra race after I think he had a DNF previously.
Yeah, but he was 7th last week in the 70.3 World Champ.
Exactly, so impressive by him. Then on the women's side, it was Samantha Kingsford taking the win there ahead of Andy Argard, and third was Leslie Patterson, previous Xterra World Champion. Okay, moving on now to take a look through some of the photos that you guys have sent in to us. So, jumping straight in, one from Stephanie. This is from Caiuba Beach, Paraná, in Brazil. I've probably mispronunciated that very badly. They've said, this was my first race. I've been training for about a year to participate in a race, and this happened on the 19th of September. Well, very awesome, and I can see the excitement as you're jumping across the line there, so congratulations.
Yeah, well done. Next we have this from Stephen, a picture of his Scott Plasma 5. He says, just finished up my new build in front of my front end and my new drivetrain and components. He called his picture green with envy, but it's actually yellow. And it's with zips, not envy.
I like it though. I like it, and the tan sidewalls.
Does look good,
the tan
yeah.
sidewalls looks good. Gotta say. Next one from Andrus from Hungary with his Cervelo P3, and he said, long ride prep session for an upcoming event. Stop for a photo shoot. Of course you did. Why not?
And finally we have this from Claudia with her Cipo Katana triathlon bike in Portugal, and she says, at last a triathlon bike for short leg triathletes. Clearly she's had trouble fitting onto a bike, but that one looks like it fits her perfectly. So nice bike.
Good work. Please do keep your photos and videos coming in using the photo uploader. Link is on screen right now. You can find that in the description just down below.
On to your caption competition, and last week we had this image of Georgia Taylor Brown stacking it basically in the Super League, and we got a lot of interest in your caption competition, so lots to choose from. Some of the examples were, Robert McDaniel said, how do you like my new yoga pose? Downward bike.
Good work. Andrew Wynn, try gymnastics, dismount to headstand.
And Robert Nastasi says, I've fallen head over heels for Super League. So have we, Robert. We really enjoy it.
It really is great. The winner, though, Tony Watson, Georgia Taylor Brown, showing the opposition a clean pair of heels.
Good one. Send us your details and we'll get a cap out to you, Tony. This week we have this image also from Super League, this time from Malibu, and it seems like this guy has got a little confused and is holding the sign upside down.
I quite like it. It's like Detenimile.
Detenimile. I've got an idea. What about, we made a sign this week specifically for in case Georgia Taylor Brown gets eliminated.
Nice.
Seeing as she's going to do the race upside down, apparently.
Well, get involved, leave your captions in the comments section down below. But that is it for the show this week. We have lots coming up on the channel, though. I know a lot of you have been waiting anxiously to see Heather's Weekend Warrior. Well, don't worry, it is coming this weekend, as well as what to do before you run.
Yeah, don't forget to check out some of our apparel in the GTN shop if you're looking for some GTN merchandise. And if you're looking for something to watch right now, Mark ran around Bratislava before he came home from Slovakia. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.